We are back here. Show me the money Super Bowl betting edition of the Just End the Suffering podcast. Joining me today. At this point, we cannot get the schedule work out here during the regular season, but we do have him here now to do some Super Bowl betting from SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh Jr. is here. Kevin, how are you?
I'm good, man. Always excited to come on here and chop it up with you a little bit, and excited for this Super Bowl. You know, it's going to be a fun one. SportsGrid's got some big things planned as well for the Super Bowl. The content's going to be great. So just in general, really, really pumped up.
Yeah, really pumped up. I'm also really pumped up. I'm sure you are too, that we now have live sports betting here in New York. I mean, I've been taking advantage, getting all the free money's been being handed out here. Hit a future. I got plus 1,100 Rafa to win the Australian Open. So that hit nice. So how's it been for you with the sports betting being live now?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big things, right, for us New Yorkers has been all these awesome, promotions and boosts and things like that. I think one area that I've really appreciated, though, is the live betting aspect of it. On SportsGrid Radio, myself and Donnie do in-play sports tonight. And, the ability to follow these games is great. But the ability to see something that jumps out, just the other day, Baylor down at West Virginia, or played West Virginia, were down at the break, only had 31 points in the first half. Team total went down about 71.5. They ended up scoring 50 points in that second half. So that ability to jump in now with the live betting here in New York is really, really exciting.
Yeah, I'm sure if you went in on the Bengals, they're down 21-3 at halftime at the AFC title game, I'm sure you had a good number there too.
I think as high as plus 1,100. Plus 1120, I think, was the peak I saw. I mean, at one point they were getting 19.5 points, and they went and won the football game. I still kind of can't believe the way that all played out.
Yeah, before we dive into the betting, I want to get your take real quick on the takeaway from these two games. Let's start with the AFC game, obviously. So watching that game, I know you have the betting mind there. So what was your big observation from the Chiefs-Bengal game?
Yeah, for me, it was the Kansas City Chiefs playing a stubborn and greedy brand of football that ultimately cost them a chance to go to the Super Bowl and maybe win the Super Bowl. The Cincinnati Bengals dropped eight pretty much the entire second half. Their use of drop eight doubled in the second half from the first half. And there's three in the box. The Kansas City Chiefs, every single time they ran the ball, they got at least 4 yards. You guys can do the math there. 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, first down. They literally didn't need to let him throw the football once in the entire second half, and they would have been on their way to the Super Bowl. But every single second down, he has to throw, and it was always incomplete. And I don't know where the efficiency went. I don't know what was wrong for him, because even if it's drop eight, you have time in the pocket. You should be able to figure some things out. But again, he shouldn't have had to. It's a bad job, listen, on him from the execution, but the play calling was abysmal. And they deserve to be, ripped apart. Give Cincinnati credit. But they basically tapped out, and they're like, listen, we can't stop him. So hopefully you stop yourselves, and the Chiefs did.
Yeah, that's something I feel like is going to sit with Andy Reid for a long time, that they basically had this game won, and then they just took away from themselves. Because credit to Cincinnati for taking advantage of mistakes, but you know what? That's a problem. Yeah,
at the end of the day, you are on the 1 yard line with 21 points with 9 seconds left. And I know a lot of people are like, they should have kicked the field goal. No, they shouldn't have. You see the way that offense was rolling? But you would have handed the ball off right there on the 1. You probably would have walked right in. And at the end of the day, it was still 21-10. You still started the second half with the football. You still had more than enough chances to put that game away, regardless of what happened on the 1 yard line right before the half. They were up by 18 points, man. It's a nightmare. It's the first time Mahomes ever blew a 15-point lead in his career. It's a one-of-one scenario so far.
Yeah, 101. Go to the other game real quick, to the NFC game, the Rams at 49ers. I felt like for a while the Rams tried to give that game away, and then the 49ers said, no, we don't want it. You can have it back. I mean, compared to the punt on 4th and 2, DeQuesky Tart dropping interception, like when you see those two things happen basically consecutive, you're like, okay, they're losing this game. It's just a matter of how it happened. And that's basically pretty much what they did.
Look, at the end of the day, Jimmy Garoppolo isn't a winning quarterback. And people go, but look at his record. Yeah, man, it's credit to Kyle Shanahan and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle and that defense, Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. Jimmy Garoppolo went out there and averaged less than 200 passing yards per game, under 60% completion percentage, with more interceptions than touchdowns, and provided absolutely no juice as a mobile quarterback like your Kyler Murrays and your Lamar Jacksons of the world can. He's just not a positive football player. Like he's not. And people are like, he'll be good for some team somewhere. Hey, listen, good luck. But Kyle Shanahan has squeezed every juice out of that orange. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to end up missing Big Ben. It's probably that's how that's going to play out. They welcome Jimmy Garoppolo into town. I don't have high expectations for Jimmy G's future beyond San Fran.
Yeah, I feel like Jimmy G is a spot where, he has to go somewhere like he has in San Francisco, where he has a good defense, good running game, some good weapons around him. Like, you put him in the ideal situation, he could win. But if you're asking him to be the savior, he's not happening.
He asked him to do anything. I didn't ask him to be the savior. They asked him to do almost nothing, and they almost got to the Super Bowl asking him to do nothing. I mean, again, does anyone think, people are taking shots at Kyle Shanahan for punting on 4th and 2 in the Rams territory, and I get it. I'd rather him hand the ball off to Deebo Samuel. But you notice how nobody's saying, man, how do you not put the ball in Jimmy's hands, right?
Yeah.
It's, how do you not hand the football off to Deebo Samuel? Because he doesn't have a real quarterback. That's why he makes that decision there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's now get to your wheelhouse here, which is all the betting angles. And obviously, we're early in the week here after the AFC Championship game, so we're not going to get into all the wacky props about the length of the national anthem and all that. I think we're getting more into your wheelhouse, which is the game-related props and all the stuff there. I think that's more fun for you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, all of it's fun, and all of it's going to be great to cover. But obviously, right now, as kind of the game is set, we've had enough opportunity to certainly kind of digest that line and that total and get a sense of where this is going to move right now. And you've got the Rams, kind of posted up at that -4 number. It was at 3.5. It's climbed up. Other shops maybe give you a 4.5 there, but that's where this is going to settle. You're not going to at any point see the Rams. Certainly not under field goal. I don't even know if you're going to get the flat 3 unless you pay some expensive juice for it. But I don't think we're going over 4.5 now. We're going to exist in this 3.5 to 4.5 range. The Rams rightfully are favored in the football game.
Yeah, we'll start there with the spread you brought up here. It's like it opened at 3.5. It went to 4. I feel like it's staying there for a while. I feel like the way that this is, I feel like Vegas is begging you, take the Bengals, take the points, hope it's close. And I feel like a lot of the sharps are going to be on the Rams anyway, because I feel like the public's going to be very heavily on the Bengals. What do you think about that?
I think look, we'll see, right? Because the Rams are in their own building, not home. The Cincinnati Bengals win over the Kansas City Chiefs covers them in a lot more glory than the Rams win over the Niners. Joe Burrow is a guy that a lot of people are starting to really want to back, and that certainly will have its influence as well. But I look at the 4, and I think it's fair. Like, I don't think it's a line that begs you to bet either way, to be honest with you. I think it's a fair line. The one thing that was noteworthy to me is so I sent out a tweet telling people that it was over the last 4 or 5 years. I don't remember off the top of my head. But basically, if you put a 6-point teaser and you use the dog on Wild Card Weekend, you only lost like once, right? Just impeccable numbers. Wild Card Weekend wasn't all too kind to the dogs in those 6-point teasers. Divisional round, Championship Sunday, all the dogs in their 6-point teasers covered. So I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are lining up those Bengals +10 numbers if they absolutely can early on there and pairing that maybe with the total in either direction.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't remember the last time we had Super Bowl as high as 4 in the spread. I feel like the last 5 or 6 have been like 3-point games.
Yeah, probably go back to, I would assume, Philly and New England, right? The Nick Foles game there. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up while we're talking here. While I do that, I want to also touch on the money line here. I'm looking at FanDuel right now. We have the Rams -198, Cincinnati +166. Any strong feeling about that either way?
Well, I think ultimately people who bet the Bengals will be sprinkling the money line, right? Every single game that they've won as a dog or covered as a dog this year has been an outright victory. So it makes sense. Very rarely, it feels like is the point spread factoring in. I think it's since 2018. The team that has won has covered, and I think it's 41 of 47 games. So the thing is, though, we saw that with the Rams and the Niners, right? That 3.5 mattered. And I think that's another reason people are going to be willing to bet Cincinnati. You're going to hear a lot of people now feel a little bit more confident. Field goal decides this one. Give me the 4.
Yeah, I did look up your Eagles Patriots Super Bowl. It was 4.5 it opened, ended up at 5. So it's about the same kind of line.
Yeah, which, I mean, so Brady versus Nick Foles is the same as Stafford versus Joe Burrow. All right, I guess so.
Yeah,
Nick Foles got the job done.
Yeah, he did get the job done. The biggest line, I think, prior to that goes back to Super Bowl 43. Steelers here by 7 over the Cardinals. That's the last time we had a line that high.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, and it goes. Look, here's the thing. Even if I told you, hey, this, like if the Bucks would have gone, right?
Yeah,
it would have been. It would have been a bigger spread, right? But when a team finally gets there, they have to offer them a little bit more respect. And the fact that Cincinnati now got there beating, a Tennessee team that had a bye week, obviously, and on the road, and then beating the Kansas City Chiefs as a 7.5-point dog, you're not going to see a lot of Super Bowl lines hit that touchdown marker. You're just not.
Yeah, you're not. And the total here right now is 48.5, which to me implies that looks like they think it could be a low scoring game, considering that the Bengals have issues in the trenches, that the Rams pass rush can impact things. So would you have a strong lean on the number, how you play that?
So on the early line, which is the morning show on SportsGrid, we do a pick six with like 6 different categories going into the weekend. And for the postseason, we've obviously had 3 iterations so far. Every Bengals game has occupied the under category for me. Cincinnati has played, I believe it's 8 of their 10 road games this year when you factor in the postseason, including, with Joe Burrow and everything like that, towards the under. They are under on the road throughout the postseason. Now, obviously, do you qualify this as a real road game? I think that's going to be the difficult part to navigate. To me, it lands somewhere in the middle. You're not going to have that outrageous road atmosphere like Arrowhead, like Tennessee, but you have the travel. You're at a disadvantage when it comes to the comfortability that the Rams have with being in their own locker room that they've been in all season long. So it does factor in a little bit. I look at that 48.5, and if you push me in a direction, you're probably going to push me towards the under. It's the kind of number that feels like it is going to have a lot of live opportunity on it, a lot of meat on the bone to follow the ebbs and flows of the football game, and then really be able to get some good numbers.
Absolutely. Now let's get to our favorite part of this thing. I think we all love the props. The props are a lot of fun, and I want to touch on some of these player props here. I think for me in this game, the star power seems to be wide receivers. I'm looking automatically some of these receiver props here in terms of like the yard. The one that jumps out to me, I think after his big performance in the AFC Championship game, considering how teams double up Jamar Chase, T. Higgins 69.5 yards seems like a good number to look at.
Yeah, I think Higgins has that ability, right? But for me, I'm probably more inclined to back Jamar. At the end of the day, the Chiefs said, you can't beat us because you put 266 and 3 when we saw you last time. You have to get every single bit of attention that we possibly have. And he still was targeted 9 times. I know he didn't have the explosive play, but now you go to the Rams and you might say to yourself, Jalen Ramsey is going to be able to take this guy away. He's going to be able to put him on the shelf there. Jalen Ramsey will win more than he loses, but he'll lose a couple. Mike Evans, 55-yard touchdown. And Jamar Chase one-on-one coverage is going to get a couple in his back pocket. The number 1 pass-catching option against the Rams since week 8, so it's a 13-game sample size here, has gone over their receiving total 10 times. The 3 exceptions, all 3 times where the top pass catcher didn't get over their receiving prop, the quarterback threw for under 200 yards. So basically, if I can get Burrow to even 220, 225, and he's in that 270 range for a passing prop, I feel good about Jamar Chase really getting up to about 100 receiving yards in this football game.
Yeah, he's only at 78.5 on FanDuel. That's a good value. You can grab it.
Yeah, I think it's one of the numbers that feels like it's going to move. You talk about injuries, and we have some uncertainty around those. CJ Uzomah right now, if he is ruled out, it should be a boost across the board by a little bit to Boyd, Chase, Higgins, and Mixon as well.
Yeah, what about the Ram receiver numbers? Obviously, Cooper Kupp, we know how good he is. His number is over 104.5. Odell Beckham, 62.5. I feel like those are 2 interesting numbers.
Yeah, they certainly are. The one market for Cooper Kupp that's been nice has been his longest reception prop. Right now, that number is going to sit at 29.5. We'll see where that settles up there. If you can find yourself a little bit of a lighter number, that would be ideal. And I'll tell you, and I know it's a bet on a quarterback, but involves all the pass catchers. Is Matthew Stafford over 39.5 for a longest completion? He's hit that in 7 of his last 10. He did miss it against the Niners, but a couple drop passes there. Maybe we should have been able to cash that again. And Cincinnati's now allowed a completion of 40 or better in 2 consecutive postseason games here now.
Yeah, I believe I think when Skowronek dropped the touchdown in the end zone, I think they would have hit that over for him.
I think it would have, and if not, Cooper Kupp had a ball over the middle where he probably was going to go like 60 to the house, but he got too excited and looked back, and it was a rare drop for Kupp.
Yeah, I know you've been looking at the prop market, obviously. So what are some ones that jump out to you early on and say, I'm going to keep an eye on these. I might lock in early if I like the number. Like, what are some you're looking at?
Yeah, I think the touchdown scorer market is a fascinating one because, of course, you have this big cup number early, that minus 190 marker. The only other guy that's at a minus price is Cam Akers. So the Rams have only 2 rushing touchdowns this postseason, and both belong to Matthew Stafford. Sneak on the goal line, who's plus 800 to score a touchdown here. The one thing I've noticed with touchdown markets, for me at least, is they typically seem to actually get lower as the week goes on. I know that kind of goes against some of the stuff that we learn of, hey, get it in early and get the best of the number. Patience with touchdown scores very often will pay off there. Maybe get that cup number at a little bit more manageable price. I think the plus money on Mixon is going to be appealing, certainly here. So those are, and even right, like a Kendall Blanton, who's plus 240, right? But it's the same number as Higbee. You rule Higbee out, Blanton feels like a guy who's certainly live to get into the end zone. So there's a lot of guys that can make some sense in these touchdown score markets.
Yeah, I love the anytime touchdown scorer prop. It's always great to me. I think in terms of like same game parlays too, I'm also looking forward to that. I'm gonna like if you were to build one right now, what would your same game parlay be?
Man, so I think ultimately it depends how you want to do it. I know it sounds like a cop-out answer, but there's kind of 2 schools of thought. Let me grab 3-4 legs, get it up to 10-1 odds. Let's swing big, right? And then there's the correlated big minus numbers, and let's get them to plus 100, right? So you take Stafford for 225 passing, Cup for 75 receiving, Odell for 40 receiving, right? And all of a sudden you start to flirt with that even money range where you want those big bomb prices. And again, I think you can get involved with both of these as long as you structure the risk amount correctly, where you take, a Mixon touchdown prop, a Chase touchdown prop, and a Burrow 300 passing yards. And all of a sudden now you've got yourself those big 10-1 kind of markers.
Yeah, see, like that Bengals kind of stack with something like that would be fun.
Yeah, I was able to. I know a Bengals stack worked really well in that game against Vegas because that's the thing. If Burrow does throw for 300, 320, 350, Chase, Higgins, Mixon, Boyd, they're all going to come in very likely, or right, like most of them are going to come in.
Yeah, in terms of your second parlay strategy, I know that's something I did recently for college basketball, the conservative strategy, where I had Duke on the money, Duke laying the 7 points against Louisville. I went money line Auburn, which is huge, and money line Alabama to push the odds up. I ended up hitting on that, so that was a good parlay.
Yeah, it works out. If you're doing college basketball, I think you just want to be careful of road teams if possible, because we see how that goes, right? The other day, Iowa and Penn State, right? Penn State at home, 4-point dog, find a way in overtime, double overtime. Not that surprising. It's college basketball. Home court does really matter.
Yeah, and I'm also going to point out to people as well, I think you agree with me on this, is obviously this is the first Super Bowl like in New York where live betting is up here, so you might want to spend your cash now. I also advise you to keep some in reserves. I'm sure there's going to be some boosts, some plays, some promo to try and get you excited here.
There's going to be a lot of good stuff. A lot of good. Listen, we don't need to unload the chamber, 2 weeks out. That's unnecessary. There's going to be a lot of good stuff that's going to come available. And I'm telling you right now, look, I'm not, but on SportsGrid, on that early line show, myself and Donnie, we go through all the specials, all the boosts. We're always talking about it because we love those markets. They're fun, they're exciting, and they're going to continue to populate throughout the week. So especially those boosts and those plus monies, those specials, they're not going to run away from you. So as you're absolutely spot on. Keep it in check, keep that, build that card, see what you like, circle stuff, circle it, keep track of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's circle some stuff here. And I know, I have an idea for you I want to throw out here, because not saying do it right now, but let's give Kevin Walsh a $100 promo here on FanDuel. He has $100 of free bets here. Like, if you were to make a car with your $100, how would you spend it?
Well, look, again, right? Like some people would say, how about I just do $100 on my favorite bets on the board, right? Which I think a lot of people are obviously always going to be intrigued by. The one thing I think that will be interesting, and I'll make a point after this, but it's this Super Bowl MVP market. There'll be a lot of talk about this now. Because Stafford's your favorite at plus 115, but a lot of people think Kupp can take it off of him at plus 650. Burrow does feel like the bangle, right? But again, you want to structure that in a certain way where you go 50 Burrow, 25 Kupp, 25 Mixon, and now you're secure, you feel secure in that market, right? Or you go 50 Burrow, 25 Kupp, 25 Cam Akers, right? And now you feel like you've kind of controlled that board a little bit there. What I really want to say is, and I want to see kind of if they hang the yes, no, will a quarterback win Super Bowl MVP? You should get some pretty good plus money on the no. Give me the rest of the board here. Look, these are two really good quarterbacks that have been very good during this postseason, but there's a lot of big names outside of the quarterback position that have life.
Yeah, I mean, he's not too long ago. You have to go back. Julian Edelman won a Super Bowl MVP a couple of years ago. So it's not like you're talking like 15 years ago that happened.
Right. And I think ultimately, if you gave out an MVP in the NFC Championship game, it would have been Cooper Kupp. No?
Yeah, I would agree.
So there you go. I mean, he's going to have Kupp has that chance. Chase has that chance. And then you've got Jalen Ramsey, right? Intercepts a pass. All right, now this gets interesting. If they sack Burrow 10 times and create a fumble, that's going to get interesting now on the defensive side of the football. Von Miller's got a Super Bowl MVP in the trophy case already.
Yeah, I want to see if they put up, considering the Bengals line, any sort of sack prop, because that's something I would love to see if they actually do. I know they don't usually, but like I'm excited to see. Like that's one definitely could be try and play.
They're going to end up giving you probably isolated players.
Yeah.
So there'll be a Donald Price, there'll be a Von Miller Price, Leonard Floyd Price, and all of those guys will, kind of line up in different ways.
Absolutely. And before I let you go, I do want to also touch on here people besides Super Bowl betting here. I think in terms of the books, in terms of futures, I think look at the college basketball market right now because there are a lot of good teams you get very good prices on to win the tournament.
Yeah, for me, I like to bet when the bracket's set. I'll tell you why, okay? Alabama has some horrible losses and might end up like an 8 or a 9 seed. But they've also beat Gonzaga this year. They've also, been able to beat Baylor this year. So I look at that group, and if they're an 8-9 seed, and all of a sudden I have my, who's going to be a 1 seed ticket? You have a Baylor ticket or a Gonzaga ticket, right? You've already played them and lost. And now playing them in round 2. That doesn't, what? Meanwhile, this group's over here playing Wake Forest. How does that make any sense? So personally, I get what you're saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I like to wait for that bracket to be set. There's still so much plus money.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the way I play is like if I see teams I think are way better than their numbers are, I'll lock in for like a decent wager and like a $20 wager, $10 wager, Give myself an action. Like I got UCLA when they were plus 2,200, and now they've dropped to plus 1,500 after they beat Arizona last week. So that's I feel like a number I'm happy I locked in.
Yeah, Kansas obviously had their number going the other direction with Kentucky having the shortest odds of any SEC team. It shows, obviously the power of Kentucky, the name brand of Kentucky. But that is a good basketball team. They had second half leads over Duke, Auburn, and LSU, but ultimately lost all of those games, right? And Notre Dame as well. But the thing is, they played really good teams really close, but couldn't close the door. To close the door emphatically against Kansas, that was the win that says, okay, Kentucky is, however many teams you think can win the national championship, whatever, however long your list is, Kentucky's on your list.
Yeah, I think the other two I threw out there, I locked in so far. I have Auburn plus 1,300, a number one overall team. It's obviously, again, a risk because, again, they get somebody in the bracket, the 8-9 game, you could knock them off. It's a risk. I took it. But also, I got Wisconsin plus 6,000 because I think you got a game record player like Johnny Davis. Now I have to throw 10 shekels on, see what happens.
Well, listen, right? And I think depending if Iowa can get there, Keegan Murray feels like a comparable player, right? I don't know where Illinois is going to be seeded, but Kofi's a game record. There's going to be there. Look, that is the bracket. And when you get a big price like you have there on Wisconsin, you don't even go the whole way. 2 wins. And you start to be able to kind of figure out the rest of the tournament there and where you want to position yourself.
Yeah, because those I like because then you can always have the potential to cash out if like you have certain options, which is always a good option.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, Kevin, thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. Before I let you go, how can people follow you on social media and keep up what you're doing over at SportsGrid?
Yeah, I am on Twitter at the Kevin Walsh. Follow me over there. And then everything on SportsGrid Radio. The early line begins 7 a.m. Eastern time. And then, of course, In Play Sports Tonight lines up right now, 7 p.m. Eastern time there. So check us out. SportsGrid will have you covered for the Super Bowl, no doubt.